Hey, 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 hey. My eyes are up here. Pay attention. What's going on, everybody? Jason with HOJ Forge. Just a quick video. I had a question again. I've gotten this question a lot to how I found my current anvil and what happened to the Vulcan, that small anvil I was using for all of my early forging videos. So thought I would take just a couple of minutes to answer that. But let me give you a preview of what's coming up on probably the next video. I still got to finish it, but here we go. I'm working on this puppy. It's a 7 or 8 layer laminate. I don't remember. So it's just got all the layers running down. But I got something special going with this knife that I'm excited about. And I think you'll be excited about too. So stay tuned for that. But let me tell you about the story of how I found this anvil. Because maybe it will help you out. So I get the question a lot, what was my first anvil? What did I start blacksmithing on? My first anvil was nothing special. It was a hunk of railroad track. Here you're looking at my post vise, and if you follow that down, follow the post all the way down, there is the hunk of railroad track that was my first anvil. It is now being used to anchor my post vise because I just needed to get it up a couple of inches. There was already a hole in the side of the railroad track, and there we go. That was my first anvil. Still in use today in my blacksmithing, sort of. My next anvil after that hunk of railroad track was the one that I used in all of my early forging videos. It was a 70-pound Vulcan anvil. I found it on Craigslist, and the way I found that one is I put an ad up on Craigslist actually saying I was looking for an anvil. And I had to renew it a few times because every couple of days you can renew it and it goes back to the top. And it took, I want to say, 4 or 5 weeks of, I didn't renew it every couple of, once a week I'd go in and renew it so it would go back to the top. And probably 4 or 5 weeks later I got an email response from a gentleman who was about an hour and a half away, and he said, yeah, I got an anvil. It was my dad's. It's just sitting out in the barn and it's just taking up space. I'd love for you to come and get it out of here. We agreed on a price, which I don't remember what it was. I remember it was real cheap because at the time I had nothing. I was trying to avoid putting any money into the blacksmithing, or as little as possible. I wanted it. I was enjoying it. It was going to be a hobby, but I wasn't planning on making any money at it. It was going to be more. I was making knives and I was giving them away as gifts, and and that was that. I was having fun, and it was a good time. And so I negotiated down. I remember he came back at something like $1 a pound or $2 a pound or something. I mean, he came back at a reasonable price. And then I came back at like way below that. I was like, dude, I said, that's a fair price, but all I can afford to spend is blank. And I don't remember what it was. It wasn't much. And he said, okay, that's fine. Come and get it. So I did. And it lasted for a long time. The Vulcan Anvil, it's a cast iron anvil with a steel top, and the steel top on that one was starting to crack when I got it from him, and it just got worse over time as I was using it. But it held up to everything I had thrown at it. It held up to the knives, to the hooks, to the bottle openers, to everything like that. It held up to that. This is my first attempt at a hammer. I forged this hammer myself. That's about a little over 3 pounds, not quite 3.5. A rounding hammer, sort of. I mean, it's an ugly old hunk of a hunk that was forged by me on that little Vulcan anvil, and it held up to it. Putting the fuller marks in, and that little anvil never complained once. It's not a great hammer. I rarely use it because it stinks, but I did it. It was mine. So that would be my first advice to finding an anvil is going onto Craigslist in whatever area you're in or whatever area you're willing to drive to. That's the thing about Craigslist is in my state, in the state of Michigan, there's 7 or 8 different areas you could choose. And the one I'm in, northern Michigan, encompasses all of the Upper Peninsula and all of this part of the state as well. So it's a huge geographical area. I mean, someone posting in this section of the northern Michigan Craigslist could be 10 hours away from me on the other side of the UP, closer to Wisconsin. So, yeah, I mean, just be smart about it, but it's a real good resource, and it's free. All right, so that gets us to the Trenton that I have now. I started off the same way. Put an ad up on Craigslist saying I was looking for an anvil. Unfortunately, blacksmithing is getting very popular as a hobby, and there are lots of other want ads on Craigslist these days. It's 2 years later, Forged in Fire and all the blacksmithing shows are really popular now. And so a lot of people are trying it, which is great. I mean, I love that. The more, the better. The happier I am. It just makes it more difficult to find some of the equipment you need to get started at a reasonable price. It's out there. You can find anvils all day long. They're everywhere. Finding ones that you can afford when you're just getting started and don't want to put a lot of money into it, that's where it starts getting a little more difficult. Oh my gosh. It's cold in the garage this morning. All right, so enter the Trenton. This one came about, it's a long drawn out story, so I'm going to give you the quick version of it and all the techniques I used to find this one, because I think it'll help you out. Facebook was the key to getting started with the Trenton. I put my call out on Facebook to all of my friends. And then I also joined a bunch of the different Facebook blacksmithing groups. Blacksmithing for Beginners, I think, is the largest Facebook group. And if you just go into your search page, Blacksmithing for Beginners, you'll find it. Now, on that one, they say it's blacksmithing for beginners, but you've got to have some thick skin to be a part of any of those groups from time to time. Some of the old curmudgeons, well, they're old curmudgeons, and it's going to get, your feelings can get hurt if you're looking there for just people to blow smoke up your booty. But they're also old curmudgeons, which means they've been doing this for a long time. And if you can pick through their bluntness, and that's what it is. It's blunt. They don't pull punches. They don't blow smoke. They come right at you and say, no, you screwed up. You shouldn't have done that. You should have done it this way. And then they move on to help the next person. Now you can sit there and go, oh, well, I should have. Just take it for what it is. If your feelings are going to get hurt easy, you might not want to join the groups, or at least not post them. Anyways, I don't want to get into that. We're talking anvils today. So there's a tailgate group that's associated with most of the blacksmithing groups. In fact, Blacksmithing for Beginners is where I got a heads up on this Trenton. I got a hold of the guy who owned it. He's in the next town over from me, about 10-15 minutes away. Thought we were going to hook up. Some stuff happened, and I had to spend the money I was saving for my anvil on other projects around the house. And so I thought I was going to have to pass this one up, and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I lost his contact info. Thought he had already sold it. It's, a month and a half later now. And I thought that was that. So it's getting towards the end of the season for garage sailing, which is my next piece of advice for hunting anvils. I started every conversation at every garage sale the same way. Hi, you wouldn't happen to have an anvil you're selling, would you? Some people, most people, 99% of the people just looked at me weird, like, what? About 40% of the people would say anvil. What the heck is an anvil? And I'd have to explain what an anvil was. Remember the coyote was always getting an anvil dropped on his head? Well, blacksmiths use it to smack metal around. Oh, no, I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't have one. Okay, go look for deals on shoes or whatever. So that happened about 40% of the time. The rest of the time was, nope, don't have an anvil. Okay, follow-up question. Do you know anyone who's selling one? Nope, don't know anyone who's selling one. And that was that. Enter this. My wife and I are out. It's, the season's winding down. Summer's almost over. And we're just out doing some garage sailing on a Saturday, Sunday afternoon. And we wind up working our way all the way over to Fife Lake. Again, 10, 15 minutes from our house, but that's where we wound up. And we wind up at a garage sale, and I start my conversation. Hey, you wouldn't happen to have an anvil you're selling, would you? He goes, yeah, it's right over there. And he points me to that one, and I recognize it right away from the pictures that I got on Facebook. So, long story short, that's how I got this one. Got it at a good price, because at that point, everybody that he had lined up to drive from all over the state to come and buy the thing had passed on it or wimped out or whatever. No one ever came to see him. So he's got this thing that he just wants to get rid of. And I'm there, and I've got cash, and lo and behold, I got a Trenton Anvil made in 1901, 130 some pounds, and I got it for a hell of a price. I was real happy, $300, I think. So that's how I got that, and that's how I suggest you go about your search. I went to auctions. You certainly see them at auctions. They're everywhere. Every auction that I went to, there is one guy. He wore a yellow freaking coat, and the guy, I'm guessing he was a collector because he drove the price up at every single auction. I probably went to, over half a dozen. I was probably at 8 over the last year and a half as I was looking for an anvil. And, if I saw anvil listed or blacksmithing tools listed in the description of the auction, I'd go. If it was within, say, 45 minutes to an hour of me. And this guy, and he always wore the same yellow windbreaker. I don't know what his name was, but he would drive the flipping price up at every single one. I bid against him directly at only one, the first one, and he just took it up and up and up and up and up and up. And every time I was like, all right, that's going to be his last bid. I'm jumping back in. Boom. Then he'd jump it back up by $50 more. It's like, what the hell are you doing? And I thought, okay, I'll go to the next auction. Went to the next auction, and he got into a bidding war. I didn't even jump into the bidding on that one because some other guy wanted the anvil, and him and Mr. Yellow Windbreaker guy were going at that one, and Yellow Windbreaker guy got that one. So Yellow Windbreaker guy had a lot of money, and he was driving the price up. And I'm guessing you probably find a lot of people like that across the country, collectors or antique dealers or something, that no matter what he buys it at, if he can get an anvil that should be priced at $300-400, he can turn around and sell it for $800 or $900 to somebody who just wants an antique anvil from his shop or whatever. He's making a lot of money and he's happy. He doesn't care about us. So I can't fault the guy if he's making money in it, but it just makes it harder for us to get anvils. But check the auctions. You never know. I do know a gentleman who just found a... I don't think we ever... It may have been a mouse hole, but we couldn't figure out the name. I was trying to help him just by looking at pictures, but it was an all steel or iron anvil with a tool steel top. We could determine from the ring. It was in pretty decent shape, and he got out of that for like less than $200 for that anvil, about 100 pounds, something like that. So they're out there. You can find them. So auctions, garage sales, Facebook, Craigslist. And then the other thing I did, which got me some people looking at me funny, I just talked to total strangers. So I'm standing in line at the grocery store. there was one in particular that I remember. We were in line at the Walmarts and in the self-checkout line, but it was just a really busy day. And so I'm joking around with everybody in the line going, well, we should do something to pass the time. Anybody want to play hokey pokey? And everybody chuckled. Ha, it's not a funny joke, but it lightens the mood a little bit. So then I go, all right, no, seriously, I want to ask everybody here if anybody knows of anyone selling an anvil. And of course I got some of the people going, what's an anvil? So I had to explain it, and no one knew, but I mean, there were a lot of laughs after that. It got some conversation going, and I did that a lot. Just talking to total strangers, you're springing it up. Now, not everybody has the personality where you can just start joking around with total strangers in line at the grocery store. I talk for a living. I host a radio show, and so it's not a big deal to me. But I know a lot of people, that's too close to public speaking. What are we going to do? Who knows? If you don't do it, though, I can guarantee you, you're never going to find an anvil from those people. And that's a resource that is there, so maybe use it. Anyways, I'm going on way too long. I just wanted to give Martin my quick story on how I got this anvil and the story on how I went about finding all my different anvils. So, I guess I never told you how I found the railroad track. That was at a local scrapyard. They get all the, every time they do track repair in our area, they get all the sections of track that get cut out, and they get all the spikes and clips and all the other stuff. So they've got a big old pile. I can just go back. If I need a hunk of railroad track, however big, I can just go in there and grab it and pay, a few cents on the pound, and there it is. So check your local scrapyards, I guess. Don't go walking the tracks, that's illegal. Alright, so thanks for watching. If you are a blacksmith, whether a hobbyist or a professional, and you have other ideas on how to find an anvil, please share them in the comments and help out, and everybody read the comments. And if you've got success stories, I'd love to hear them in the comments, because that can just help inspire people. I will say it was a long process. I've been, smithing, I don't even know. We're going on a little over 2 years now, right? And I've been searching for that Trenton, maybe not that Trenton, but I've been searching for a decent anvil that entire time. That old Vulcan I knew was just a tied me over till I found something decent. So it took 2 years of, hey, you wouldn't know of anyone selling an anvil, would you? 2 years of that, but it finally paid off with a decent anvil that I could afford. I was really happy with the price. He was really happy to get rid of it. And here we go, a nice old blacksmithing tool that's getting some new life and will last me probably the rest of my life. I may upgrade at some point, but I'm not going to need to upgrade. That's the point, is this one, for everything I'm doing, this one will last me as long as I want it to last me. So I'm going to wrap that one up here. It went on a little longer than I thought it would. Sorry about that. But there's my anvil buying advice. Hopefully it helps you out. And again, if you've got any success stories or any advice of your own, please share it in the comments for everybody below. And I will talk to you on the next video. We're going to be doing that knife I showed you at the beginning. I'm not going in depth on that build. It's just more of a vignette, not a vignette, like a montage. Just to some music, but I've got something cool planned for that knife. So hopefully you come along and watch that one. It'll be ready in a couple days. See ya.